Today we will be discussing how to filter data using the Pandas library in Python. We'll be taking a look at the movies on Netflix, Prime Video, and Hulu and Disney dataset found on Kaggle. The link to the data will be provided in the description below. Okay, so the first thing we'll want to do is import the Pandas library as PD. Next, we want to read in our data into a Pandas data frame. And the name of our data set is the movies on streaming platforms updated.csv. Okay, perfect. So the next thing we'll want to do is we can display the first 5 rows of data using the .head method. And let's do that. And we can save our file. Let's call this filtering data pandas. Okay. So we see that some of the columns are displayed with some dots in between. That's because there are some restrictions on the number of columns that are displayed. In order to relax that, we can use the set option method and say display dot max columns none, and do the same thing for the rows. Max rows, perfect. And if we put the first 5 rows of data, we see we have the results we expect. We can also delete this unnamed 0 column, which we won't need. Unnamed 0. Okay. This is what we expect. So the next thing we want to do is filter data based off of different values in each of these columns. One easy thing we can do is filter this data frame on the year. Let's say we only want to see movies and shows that are being streamed in 2010. We can say df 2010 equals df year equals 2010. And if we print the first 5 rows of data for this new data frame, we see that we only have records corresponding to data in 2010. Another thing we can do is filter based off of another category. For example, language. We can say something like df English equals df language equals English. And we can print the first 5 rows of data for our new data frame here. And let's actually just run this selection of code as opposed to running the entire script. And we see that we get only data corresponding to English language. We can also define a function that generalizes some of this logic. Let's say we want to filter on a category. We can call our function filter by category. And we can say column name. It takes column name input. And the new data frame is going to be equal to, let's use f strings to format the name of the column. So it's going to be called column name. And we need a column value also as our input. So column value equals column value. And we can return this new data frame. Let's see if we have any errors here. That looks good. So now what we can do is call our function and store the return value in a new variable. Let's say df. What would we want to filter by here? We can filter by Italian. So let's call this df Italian equals, so the column name is language, and the value is Italian. And finally, we can just print the first 5 rows of the filtered data frame here. And let's actually just run the selection, and we see we only get records corresponding to the Italian language. I'll stop here, but I encourage you to play around with the data and code yourself. The link to the data will be provided in the description below, as well as the link to the GitHub repo with the code. Thank you for watching.